Ooh, happy Halloween. You alright? Well, today is the day I get to experience Journey to Hell Freak Nights. It's Halloween, it's the 31st of October, and I'm heading to Blackpool now. It's heading up to 2:30, it takes me an hour to get there, so I'll get a couple of rides, and then I'm on the 6:30 show, if that's what you'd call it, 6:30 walk through. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Now, as you know, it hasn't had the best reviews on the first day or so, but I believe it's picked up considerably. So I, for one, I'm really excited to try this out. I went to the preview night, as you know, it looked amazing. There's been a bit of controversy about, you know, Icon being down on the opening night, which I totally understand. You know, I'm sure that they're looking at the plans for next time, if it goes ahead again and where they've gone wrong. But anyway, we'll talk more about it when I've experienced it. Let's head to Blackpool. Okay, it's 15:22. It's getting quite dull and dark. And I'm dressed like a school teacher. Now, these glasses, I lost my other ones in Alton Towers. I need to get in touch with them and say, look, lost and found, have you found me reasonably trendy glasses? Because these make me look like a school teacher or a head teacher or some sort of brain bot. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into Blackpool. Pleasure Beach. So I've got about an hour to get a few rides in before Freak Night at 6:30. Don't know if it's going to be busy. I've just seen the big one going round over in the distance, so not many people on it. Who knows? Let's go and have a look. Tell you what, this muff I bought is a godsend. Best £14 I've ever spent. Oh, by the way, I mean for the wind. So nice little bit of theme in there, atmosphere as you walk in. My plan is the park looks empty, so my plan is to get on Revolution, the big one, Icon, and Grand National. Couldn't remember them. Of course, I might try and do the Ghost Train because it is Halloween, isn't it? So I hope that's for the Freak Nights. Absolutely smashed that hour there. I got on the big one, Icon, Big Dipper, Revolution, Ghost Train, and I finished off with a darkish ride on the National. So now I'm going to go for a coffee in Wetherspoons, get back to the Pleasure Beach for about 6ish, and then I'm excited now, to be honest. I really can't wait for it.
Roll up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
It's not even the end of the season yet, and I'm missing the place. Cheers. So back to what we were saying earlier about the, you know, the negative or poor reviews, let's say, for the opening night of Freak Nights. Now, for those of you that know, I'm an actor, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is that we have what you call preview nights. When you're doing a stage play, you have like 3 or 4 preview nights. Now, them tickets sell at a much, you know, lower rate. They're normally either half price, or, you know, some theatres do it for a tenner, or. But basically, it's you get 3 or 4 preview nights. You know, people pay to come and watch the show at a, you know, cheaper rate, and it gives the production a chance to, you know, tweak things, see how audience react to things, and it gives the director a chance to, you know, make everything right before the press night, which is normally on the 4th night of the previews or the 5th. So what I'm thinking is, it would be a really good idea if, you know, maybe other events can do that in the future, you know, especially large scale ones like Freak Nights. If they had cheaper preview nights, like 3 or 4 nights, where, you know, things like that can go wrong and the public aren't going to go nuts, you know, the people who came on the first night might be as mad if they'd only paid, say, a tenner, because £29 is a premium price. And you know, there are arguments saying, well, if you're paying a premium price, you should be getting a premium product, and I do agree with that, but I also see that there can be teething problems. So I think having previews at a cheaper rate is probably the best way forward for these sorts of attractions. But anyway, I remain optimistic. I understand why people were upset, and I think most people do. Hopefully the Pleasure Beach will learn upon it. I'm going in tonight. They've had 4 nights, whatever, 5 nights, 4 nights to rectify any problems, so this should be tight. This show should be running really tight tonight. So, yeah, anyway, let's see. Cheers. It's gone freezing cold now.
At the horseshoe.
Right, let's go in and see what it's all about. Yeah, awkward, you've got to go in round the car park. Classic airtime, John. This is the waiting area now, with a bit of a DJ. But obviously you can't take any photos or anything in there. The lady on the security did say that, so presume she means in the experience itself. Also be given this agreement disclaimer. Journey to Hell Freak Night is hang on. Ta-da! I'll start again. Journey to Hell Freak Night is completed. It's now 9:30. It was a long run through, if you could call it a run through. It's more of an experience. I don't want to give you too many opinions and reviews right now because I like to digest things a little bit. So what I suggest is we both sleep on it, and I'll see you in the morning. Good night. Good morning. You alright? How are you? I slept remarkably well last night. So well. But you know where you still feel tired the next day? Anyway, you're not here to hear about my sleeping habits, are you? You're here to find out what I thought about Journey to Hell Freak Night at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Obviously, before I start this review, who am I to review anything? You know, when you review something, it's purely subjective. It's purely what you think. It doesn't matter. What you get from something is what you get from it. So nobody can tell you if you're right or wrong. These are just my thoughts. And as you know, I'm a massive fan of Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and I really appreciate the effort that they've gone to, and finally listening to people, and especially enthusiasts who have been crying out for an event for such a long time, you know, a proper event. And while it saddens me to say I don't feel that they've got it quite right on this occasion, but again, that's my opinion. There's going to be spoilers. If you are wanting to do it next year and don't want to know, then probably turn off now, because I've got the view anyway, so, you know, I'm not bothered. I'm joking. But seriously, obviously turn off now, because I will be discussing things that happen in the event. Ah, still here, I see. Well, thanks for sticking around. Now, if anyone's watching this from Pleasure Beach, I hope that you take these suggestions constructively, maybe take them on board for next year. I've seen a tweet this morning that Halloween Horror Nights, that Freak Nights will be returning next year, which is fantastic. Maybe you can sort of look at, you know, people's opinions and work them in. So after spending about 10 minutes in the chill out zone where there was a bar, which is by the info desk, we were then called through. I was on the 6:30 group, as you know. We were then put into groups of, say, 50, around 50-ish, I would imagine. Maybe a bit less, maybe 40, but you know, a big enough group. And we were given a wristband, which I was the orange team. We were then told to watch a video on the screens, which was a bit of a sing-along, really, for want of a better word. It was a soldier going, I don't know what you've been told, but, and then, you know, asking us to carry on. A fun start, a really fun start. Wasn't terribly spooky, but it kind of set the tone for what we were to expect. So from there, we were taken in our teams, I'll call them. I think people can refer to as teams. So we were the orange team. We were the first to go in. We were taken through into the entrance and up along, just up to by where the Grand National is. And then that was sort of cordoned off with wooden barriers and safe zone all over it. And we were greeted there by a soldier who we were told we had to wait for 3 groups to arrive. And you know, the young actor who was there playing one of the soldiers done a great job at entertaining us, but it was all very comical. It was all very fun based, which is fine again, you know, but it's not what I was after really. You know, as soon as I walked into the pleasure beach, there was with minimal set, there was just an eerie feeling. It was obviously empty and there was no one around, and the coasters were lit up beautifully. So there was a kind of eerie feeling, which, you know, I think if they played on that more, it could have been really quite spooky. But from day one, this was bang, it was set up for me as if this is going to be a fun night, it's going to be comical, which is kind of what the Pleasure Beach said, but again, it's not what I'm after really from a scare event. That being said, you know, I like a laugh and a joke, but I think it works better if it's, you know, to complement the scariness, not the odd scare to complement the comedy. So as I say, the actors in that area playing the soldiers were fantastic. They really invested in the characters, they really invested in what they were doing. The momentum really dropped, you know, quite early on. I've got to be honest, we were waiting for about 20 minutes for all 3 teams to come together. The actor was asking for, you know, who's the strongest in this group? Who's the strongest? And obviously you get like the alpha males in each group. Oh, I'm quite strong, you know. Anyway, she was making them do press-ups, and then when the other group came in, it was a case of, okay, well, group 1, you know, he thinks he's strong. Group 2, who's your leader? Okay, who can do the most press-ups? You know, that kind of vibe. And as I say, it didn't lend itself for being terribly scary. See, I think as an audience member, we're told what to think by what we experience, what we see, and you know, that tone was fun. So then it kind of, you know, even if the rest of it was really scary, it's kind of hard to get into that frame of mind. However, I was open to the thought of they could really turn this now. You know, they could make this, you know, you go in, okay, it's going to be funny, and then it could go dark and it could go really, really scary. And that's when it works well, and that's kind of, at this point, is what I was hoping for. So anyway, when all 3 groups had finally got there, we were kind of brought together by the Mayor of Darkwood. So let me tell you briefly, the Mayor of Darkwood gets us together. He's got a microphone on a lectern, and he's standing there as if he's addressing the people. So he tells us the story about, it's kind of hard to follow, but it's basically, you know, Earth is no longer inhabitable, and we're the sort of lone survivors of Blackpool, and we're, you know, this Blackpool Pleasure Beach is our compound, but it's being set upon by other worldly beings and, you know, things from hell and stuff like that. Now, during this speech, spoiler alert, during this speech, someone turns up, one of the baddies, one of the things, but let's call them the freaks, because it's freak night. One of the freaks turns up and stabs the mayor. So it's, you know, it's like, oh, then he gets one of the soldiers and puts the soldier in a vat and then sets the vat on fire. Now, this was a wonderful little set piece, really good, really effective, looked cool, and you know, I thought, oh, here we go, okay, it's gonna get better now, it's gonna, you know, take it up a notch. So that really worked well. Again, good acting. Starting to notice at this point, I didn't really enjoy the amount of language that was used. I'm not a prude, but it was effing this, effing that, effing the other, twat, you know, bit much really, don't really need it, even though it's an adult event, although there were many under 18s there. It's not needed, in my opinion, to swear. Sometimes it feels like you're just swearing for the sake of it, for shock value, and I don't find that, you know, it's not my thing. Now, we were assigned this big guy, big tall guy, quite stocky. He was a Cockney guy, or he was playing a Cockney, either or, but he was fantastic. He was such a good actor. He had such a natural authority about him, but he was funny. Now, this is where the comedy worked for me, because he kept it entertaining all the way around, and he was really funny. Just some of his one-liners, you know, he was sharp, he was ad-libbing left, right and centre, and you've got to be a good improviser for these jobs, because you'll get people throwing things at you. I understand how it works, and it's hard to be, you know, in character but also ad-libbing, because you've got to keep that fine line of staying in character, you know, but being able to respond quickly in character, but responding how the character would respond, not you. Do you know what I mean? And I felt he'd done that really, really well. So big up to that fella, he was great, really good. So from there, we were taking, all of the three major groups were split into smaller subgroups, and then we were taking off. So I think we were in like groups of, say, 20 at this point. And this is where it got a bit nuts, really. We were told then that we were going to go meet the professor, who had some new information for us about the 7 layers of hell. So we were taken up to Planet Rock. When it walked into the dome, had to crawl through a space, you know, which was all cool. I enjoy that. And then it was like, you know, a sort of an amphitheatre set up within the dome at Planet Rock. And yeah, we watched this a short scene of about 5 minutes where the professor was telling us about the 7 layers of hell, and we need to find a portal to get the things back into hell, or we need to get back to earth or hell. To be honest, it was a little bit hard to follow. Nice little set piece, nice scene. Yeah, we were told that we had to sit in the brace position. If we were told, if at any point anyone shouted brace, then we all had to put our hands between our knees and get in the brace position. And it happened. Brace was shouted, we all got in a position. The lights went down a bit, but you could, you know, still see quite a lot. And then the actors were going around tickling the back of your head and stuff. And while there was a few people screaming, you know, obviously nervy, it wasn't remotely scary at all. Then there was a box in the middle of the room which, you know, lit up and smoke came out, and one of the nuns popped out and was, ah. So then it was like, get out, get out, get out. So yeah, we left that area then. So from there, we were then taken to the valley of, now I'm paraphrasing here, so, you know, please comment below. I know I'm getting them wrong probably, but I think it was the Valley of Lost Souls, which was located by the Laughing Man. So we walked around, and there was a sort of pile of people on the floor, say like 3 people all huddled up. We were told to stand around them. So when we stood around them, one jumped up, obviously, and then a few other people came. They had these long masks on, and they were just sort of like walking up to us, and so, you know, that was fun. We seemed to be there for about 5 minutes for no reason, just sort of stood there with these people walking around us. We were handed, some of us were handed a bag to put on our heads. I was one of them. They put the bag on my head, but you could see right through it, so it was kind of pointless, really. Put in the formation, hands on shoulders, and then the rest weren't. So there was about 8 of us had the bags on, the rest didn't. Anyway, we were escorted up to Icon, got to the front of Icon's entrance, and it was, a guy was stood there, and he went, take a blindfold. So we took a blindfold, and then we more or less made our way onto Icon, but no guidance at all of what to do there. So it was a bit like, do we go on Icon now? It was one of them. Anyway, so we went on. Again, the ride ops in there weren't in character, so it was all very white. Okay, on this journey to hell, which is already lost storyline, why are we now going on a ride? Personally, I'd lose the ride element. It was cool going on Icon. The audio in walking through the queue line was spooky, and it really worked. I loved it. Got on the back row, I was, put my blindfold on, and then you heard like a voiceover going like, I can't remember what they were saying. And then just before the launch, it was like, welcome to hell. And we shot off. And it was really good. Because I've done Icon and I've kept my eyes closed just for, you know, a bit of a buzz. But when you can't open your eyes, it's great. You know, it's really fun. And the airtime felt like amazing because, you know, you couldn't see anything. But anyway, it's not, you know, that was just an added bonus. But personally, I'd have took that out because that obviously has spoiled the flow a little bit. and it jarred, if I'm being honest, why we were doing it. So when we emerged from Icon, we were just waiting round, you know, again, there was nothing really happening at this point. And obviously you've got to wait for your group then to get off the ride. Now when I came off, I forgot to tell you earlier, so I'll tell you now. At the start of the tour, the guy that we were assigned to, the Cockney guy, I think he actually was a Cockney, by the way, but he gave a spiel about smoking, and you can't smoke in Nickelodeon land, but feel free to smoke anywhere else that you want to in the Pleasure Beach. And that really peed me off, to be honest, because all the way through people were smoking and getting smoke in your face. Now it's, you know, you don't need that really. It's an hour and a half. I used to be a smoker, but I could go an hour and a half, 2 hours. If he wouldn't have said that, people would have assumed you couldn't smoke because they were on an event, a scare event. You know, you can't smoke anywhere else unless there's the odd designated area. But he actively encouraged it. He was like, you know, if you want to smoke, smoke wherever you want to smoke, except for Nickelodeon land. You know, and it kind of encouraged people. So when I came off Icon, I was like welcomed by billows of smoke. Everyone was just like, because it's like that thing, you know, like when you know you're not meant to be doing something when you're a kid, so you do it more. And everyone was just like that all the way round. And I've spoke to other people as well, and they've had the same experience. People were just smoking because they felt they could, you know. So Pleasure Beach, if you're listening, pack that in next year. There's no need for that. Like the swearing, get rid of most of the swearing, and the smoking. Don't need it, you know what I mean? It's not cool for people who don't smoke. Or, you know, have a 5-minute fag break in a designated area, and then if I don't want to inhale it, I don't have to, I'll go away. So from Icon, we were then taken to the Chinese maze. Now this is where it got a little bit fiction, reality, the lines were blurred. The guy, our leader, Cockney guy, said, you all know about the Chinese maze, don't you, in the Pleasure Beach? And we were like, yeah. We were like, okay, well, it's not a Chinese maze anymore, it's been taken over by clowns. And I suppose that works on that level because they're acknowledging the Pleasure Beach was a thing. It's kind of mixing fiction with reality, and you know, that does work, don't get me wrong. But when we were taken to the maze, we were told that we would need to collect rations or supplies, anything will do. He said, you know, someone last night brought me a teddy back, someone brought me back this, someone brought me back a balloon. So anyway, when we got to the maze, there was a massive queue, so we were waiting for the maze. They had the Pixel people there, you know, with a clown taking photos, which you could buy at the front. Obviously just filling time as well as, you know, merchandising reasons. Then we went in, this was in groups of 6 to 8. I've got to be honest, it was poor. The maze was poor. It was that was the one that had the most potential for me, and it was yeah, it wasn't great. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't great at all. There were no scares. There was good atmosphere in a way, you know, good audio, good lights. But that maze is set up for scares. It's set up for scares. You know, it's the idea of being in an actual maze is, you know, could have been terrifying, and just, I don't know, just nothing scared me at all last night. And as you know, I'm a big wuss when it comes to scare mazes and scare events. I jump very easily, so if I'm not getting it, you know, it wasn't scary. I'm bearing in mind that the market was a terrifying experience-led event. At this point now, it was very much feeling like a comic event. Anyway, when we got out, a few of us in the group had picked up, you know, the odd little thing. I went to, well, this was really good. There was a teddy bear on the top of one of the fences, so I went to pick it up, and then next thing the guy with the chainsaw came out and was like, "Leave my teddy alone!" And then, you know the back wall of the maze before you come out, we were sort of chased down there. So, you know, it was fun. Again, it was fun. Please don't think I had a bad time. I didn't have a bad time. It was fun, just not what I was after. I'm no good at reviews because I find it hard. I feel mean saying these things, but you know, you've got to be honest, haven't you? And I want to be the sort of channel that's real. And also, you know, there's no point in us blowing smoke up Blackpool's bum and them doing the same thing next year. It's going to go on next year, clearly, because it's financially done well, which is amazing, and I'm made up. I'm a season pass holder, I support the park, I'm there most weekends, but without them knowing where they've, well, not where they've gone wrong, but where people feel they may have gone wrong, then they're not going to improve. Sorry. The next part is probably the best part of the evening. Well, no, the best part of the evening. It was where we got to experience the underground tunnels. Now, these are unknown to the general public. I believe they used as a walkway for staff to get from one side of the park to the other without being, you know, bothered by crowds and stuff. But it was so atmospheric there, it was great. There was some really nice scenes in there, smell pods. It was just a really good experience in there, and it went on for quite a while. It was a good, say, 8 to 10 minutes sort of area. So yeah, different levels as well. Really, really good. Atmosphere wise, by far the best part of the evening, and something that they can really build on for next year, I think, with a few more actors in there. I should say as well that I loved the introduction to the tunnels, because we were met at the front by a miner who explained that things that lurk beneath are, you know, even sort of weirder than what's the freaks you're seeing up above level, but what's down below, we don't even bother with them. And I thought that was really, really well done. Anyway, from there, we've done that in groups of 8 again, I think. And then we were told that we would be, well, in fact, we weren't told anything. That was another moment where we were a bit like, I don't know what to do now. Anyway, we were eventually led down to the front of the park where there was quite a sizable queue. But again, we had no idea. There was no sort of storyline to this part. But obviously, being an enthusiast, I knew that we were on our way to Passage. So without the storyline, we were taken to Passage and experienced probably the worst run through I've had of Passage, if I'm honest. But I knew that was going to be the case with the throughput going through. It's impossible for the actors to be able to fully sort of reset and keep everything going, I think. There were big numbers going through there last night, but always well themed, always atmospheric. You can't take that away from Passage. It's a great experience, and I'll definitely be going back again. God, I'm going on now. This video is going to be about bloody half an hour long. Overall, it was an entertaining evening. It was an entertaining evening. Would I go back and do it again? If it was the same, I'm going to be honest, no, I wouldn't go back next year and do it again. If there was changes, yeah, of course, I'd go and support the Pleasure Beach. But at £30, I can't go and do something again that's going to be the same that I thought was, you know, hit and miss, if I'm being honest. But I just hope that Pleasure Beach take on board some feedback and make it a little bit scarier next year and less funny. Just have it, like, you know, put some more work on the mazes, get some more actors in there. To guide that many people per night through, it's going to take a lot of manpower up. Get them in costume, get them in the friggin' mazes, get it scary, and have it just like a Scream Fest, you know, where you can wander around. The rides don't have to be open. People don't mind queuing up for mazes, but I think it's when you're walking around aimlessly, going to the next maze and then the next one, but there's no storyline. I don't know, it felt a little bit forced, so maybe that's something you can think about. Just have the mazes, have it open, have some street performers, stuff like that, and you know, yeah, do you know what I mean? Went in 6:30, got out at 9. It was far too long for what was there. There wasn't enough there for it to be 2.5 hours, do you know what I mean? It felt long. It felt long. Positives though, great actors, really, really good actors, really committed. You know, they didn't have a lot of storyline to go on, and they really committed to it. Massive shout out to the actors for doing well, vocally as well. You know, in a big place like that, they were audible. You could hear them, and that's been my main criticism, is the, you know, hearing actors this season. The use of light in the park, some people have said it was too light. For me, the lit coasters just made everything a little bit eerier, and an abandoned theme park is quite spooky anyway, so for me that was a real selling point. Really good. Of course, I'm talking about comical things like a negative, but if you're going for a fun experience, it was dead funny. It was really funny, I'm only saying, you know, I wish it was more scary because that's what I want from a scare event. I prefer suspense and fear, you know, with the odd maybe one-liner thrown in. But this was definitely, the scales were tipped on the comedy side far too much. But, you know, if you're looking at that in a positive, it was brilliant. It was dead funny. I think with a few tweaks and, you know, taking on board criticism, Pleasure Beach could have a really, really strong event next year. They need to work on the storyline and the immersion a little bit more, because each time you're waiting round, you're coming out to that story, and when there's not much story there, it's, you know, it's easy to slip in and out, and then next thing you're thinking what you're having for your tea. And with a bit of work, Pleasure Beach can have a really strong event next year. I just hope that they choose to listen. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I really genuinely hope that if you went, you had a good time, because yeah, I had a fun time, just wasn't what I was after. Let me know what you think. Please comment below. Tell me, am I wrong? If you disagree with me, let me know below. Let's have a conversation about it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Airtime John. Thank you very much, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, for having a go at, you know, something that we've wanted for a long time. It worked on some levels, it didn't work on others, in my opinion. But anyway, regardless, I'll see you all next season at the Pleasure Beach. Oh no, I'm going on Sunday. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ra.